video is everything you need to know before you install your car audio. Audio can be classified basically into two types. One is clean and other is distortion. Obviously nobody wants the distortion, and the clean is further categorized into clean and less powerful, which is for casual listening, and clean and medium powerful for average music lover, and the third category is clean and powerful. The next thing we would like to discuss would be to know what type of stereo do you have. Do you have a simple stock stereo like the one which is shown here with 4 speakers, or do you have a premium audio which has 4 speakers, a tweeters and a subwoofer with a factory built amplifier or something like that? This would be important to know much before proceeding with the install. Depending on the current audio system which you have, you may want to decide what type of upgrade you want to perform. Let's say if you have a stock 4 speakers and a stock head unit, then you may want to add a 4-channel amplifier and power your speakers, or you may want to add only a monoblock amplifier and power your subwoofer like the one I have shown now. So it's up to you depending on how powerful your existing audio is. If you have a premium audio, you may want to bypass the existing amplifier and add a 6-channel amplifier or a 4-channel amplifier and power your speakers from that. The next decision would be whether to keep the stock head unit or replace it with an aftermarket head unit. This is very crucial since you need to take care before replacing, because most of the controls on the stock head unit are also controlled on the steering column. So if you're planning to replace it with the aftermarket head unit, then you need to make sure that all the controls are compatible with the steering mount controls, or you get an adapter for that. Finding a steering mount control adapter can be really hard and wiring could be really complex. That's the reason I gave up on my steering controls and control the volume and pretty much everything on my new head unit, which is way more comfortable. Whenever you buy a new car, you can get 2 types of audio. One is the regular audio system and other one is a premium audio system. The regular one would be a normal head unit connected to 4 set of speakers. Usually they are paper cone speakers and they sound mediocre, to be frank. We all know that, right? And the second category is the premium audio, and it is good in good car companies, like if you go with Infiniti or Lexus or anything. If they are providing Bose or Bang & Olufsen, the sound is really good and it's gonna satisfy most of you. But there will be specific audiophiles who want the sound and the bass to really hit and ring your ears, and for such people that audio is not a match. I mean, there are certain components which miss in the premium audio as well, and we will be covering today on how to get started with those and install by yourself, get all the details and what parts to use and everything. Yeah, so talking more about the premium audio, usually you get at the same head unit, but you have a small factory installed amplifier. It could be a 4-channel or a 5-channel depending on if you have a subwoofer or not. So that usually comes with 4 speakers and 2 tweeters. Tweeters are nothing but miniature size of a speaker, but which is used to generate higher frequencies like your hi-hats or other stuff. And also there is a chance if you have a premium audio, you may get a small subwoofer in your trunk, and that really may not be powerful, but it just helps adding the lows and improving the overall quality of the music. So today we will be discussing about how to improve the car audio in both of the systems. What if you bought the least trim of the car and you have a pretty basic audio with 4 speakers and a head unit, and you want a really good upgrade, but you don't want to buy a top trim just for the audio. Get it? And what are the steps you need to take if you have bought a car with premium audio and you would want to upgrade it further, right? So we are going to see everything in detail today. So as discussed, if you have a regular head unit and the regular audio which comes with the least trim of your car, then you could probably get the best upgrades in your car actually. So you could add a 4-channel amplifier and power up all of your 4 speakers, or update your speakers with the component speakers as well. And you could also even add a monoblock amplifier and power your sub. Alternatively, you could have a 6-channel or a 5-channel amplifier which can power your speakers and the subwoofer at a time. And in any case, if you have a premium audio, then the process is pretty much the same, but you may not require an external amplifier, a 4-channel amplifier to amplify the speakers, but you may need a monoblock amplifier which is going to power the subwoofer. So we'll talk more about that. And my configuration of the car which I got is a 2017 Honda Accord Sport Special Edition. So that came with a pretty basic audio, head unit with basic buttons, no touchscreen and stuff at all, and it just came with 4 speakers. I was pretty much unhappy, so right away the first week I swapped my head units and installed a subwoofer, changed the speakers to components. So in this video I'm going to show you how I have upgraded my system, where I had a stock head unit with very basic features, no amplifier and 4 paper spoon speakers. Usually the stock head units like this one, which is provided by the manufacturer of the car, they sound pretty crappy and the output is not so high, and since these are all mediocre cars, they don't come with good head units with a nice DSP in that. They are of low quality. This one is manufactured by Pioneer and this is pretty much standard in all of the 9th generation Accords. So I didn't like the head unit. So the next step you would want to decide would be if you want to keep the head unit or you want to swap this. This is a 2-DIN head unit. That means it's a single DIN is usually this thick and a 2-DIN is this thick. So this is a double DIN head unit. So if you want to swap or change this head unit with something else, you would want to prefer to buy a double DIN Sony or any brand which you prefer. If you just drop in by a car audio shop or somewhere, they're going to show you various double DIN head units which may even have touchscreen and navigation. But the downside is most of the controls and the features are connected to the IMID display which is on the top. So if I'm gonna remove this head unit, then I need to figure out a way how to control the IMID and stuff. And also most of these controls are duplicated on my steering. So I need to figure out what sort of wiring or an adapter I would need to make sure my steering controls still work with the new head unit. Alternatively, if you have a premium head unit with a touchscreen and navigation and stuff, then I'm pretty sure it's gonna sound good with an aftermarket sound system. That is, if you change your speakers, the front and the back, it's still gonna sound great. But in my case, when I changed my front door and the back speakers and tested with my stock head unit, they sounded really bad because Honda has designed and tuned this head unit. I mean, this is tuned and manufactured by Pioneer though, but this is tuned to sound good with the paper cone speakers which Honda manufactures. So that's the reason, even though if you get a Bose, Bang & Olufsen, Rockford Fosgate or any brand, they are gonna sound crappy because the head unit is crappy. This is the source of the audio signal. So the signal is generated here and sent to your speakers. So if this thing is crap, then no matter how good your speakers are, they're never gonna sound good. So that is the reason I finally gave up on the head unit, but I could not uninstall or remove it physically from the location because there were other ton of stuff, like as I said, the IMID display and all other stuff which I wanted to be functional. And in case if I'm gonna sell my car in the future or trade in, I just want to make sure I could go back to stock. That is, go back to the configuration to the time when I bought the car, like the way it was. So I kept the stock system and I added a new Sony. So this should be the most interesting part. Usually you have a cubby holder here wherein you could put coins, change, or your flash drive or other stuff. So basically I removed that and inserted a brand new Sony head unit. So the remaining part of the video is gonna discuss everything about how I have maintained my stock music system while installing a second head unit. Trust me, this is gonna sound like hundreds of times better than what this is gonna sound. So there's a day and night difference between this and this one. So I'm gonna attach high quality audio clips and samples along this video. So I would recommend you to use good quality of earphones which could reproduce bass technically. Don't listen this on a phone speaker or anything where you can't reproduce the bass. Since we discussed everything about the car audios, like the different types of audios you get when you buy a car and the options you have, whether to keep the stock head unit or update to a new head unit, or the restrictions which come in between, and a lot of other stuff like that. So from now I'm going to discuss you and walk you through the installation procedure of how I upgraded my car audio with a stock music system, no touch screen, a basic music system with 4 speakers which sound pretty crappy. So we will be dealing with stuff like installing an amplifier for the speakers and changing the speakers and soundproofing your doors and applying noise reduction techniques wherever it is required, and the whole wiring of the amplifier, speakers and the new head unit, and adding a subwoofer, and finally tuning the music system to the way you like. So the rest of the installation is going to be recorded on my GoPro so that I could reach the tighter spaces better and show you a wider view of what's exactly happening and how I carried on with my installation all by myself. So the first and the foremost thing is to do is get all the required tools and materials which you will need to proceed before getting started with the audio installation. And for this Honda Accord 2017 Sport Special Edition with a stock head unit and for basic speakers, I'm gonna list you all the parts which I got, mostly some of them from Craigslist and some of them were brand new. So here is the list of the parts. So the first thing to do would be, since I have anyways decided not to keep my or use my stock head unit and use the aftermarket Sony Singleton N4100 BT, so this is the model name. Anyways, I'm gonna link everything in the description below, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. So the first thing to do would be to connect the new head unit to the old one. I mean, whenever you're gonna play a song, make sure that it comes through this one and not through that one. So the first thing you would want to do is use a pry tool, and for the Honda Accord 9th gen, this is specific, and this applies mostly to 2015 and 2016 as well. I guess it's pretty much the same. So you need to insert your pry tool here, and this whole plate is gonna come off. So once the plate comes off, you need to remove the side trims here. These things just pop up like this. You could just remove all of these. Just a moment. I know that I'm not going through the steps entirely in detail, but I'm going to explain you pretty much the same with all of the pictures in between. So just concentrate on the images whichever I add in between. So you are going to remove the top panel off, and there will be 2 Phillips screws here. Remove them off, and there will be 2 screws which are holding this head unit from the bottom in the sense from here. So in order to get access to there, you need to remove the side trim panels, that is this one and this one. These are going to come off right away if you pull with your hands. So once you pull these, there are 2 screws here. You remove them, and then you remove the cubby box in which you store coins and stuff. So once you remove that, you can place a small mirror or turn your front camera on and look for 2 screws on the top. One is here and other is here. So you need a ratchet and an extensioner or some sort of stuff. Insert it and just remove the screws. So once those 2 screws come out, and you have already removed the top 2 screws, now it is safe. You can just push the head unit up and pull it towards you gently. Remember that there is very little slack on the back side of the head unit where all of the cables and the stuff is being connected. So there is very little slack there. So you need to be careful not to just pull it straight away, and also be careful, this part is not gonna come off. This is gonna stay here. So only this is gonna come out, and this has metal hinges underneath. So what's gonna happen is, if you are not paying attention, then there are high chances that those metal hinges can give really bad scratches onto your air conditioning system and this display, because since this is all plastic and You would really regret if you do that. Alrighty, so once you have the head unit little bit away, like maybe 3 or 4 centimeters away, an inch away from where it was before, so you can easily find out at least there are 8 or 9 different harnesses or cables or wires which are plugged into the connectors. So you need to apply some force, release each and every connector and pull it off safely. Make sure they are all OEM, because if you damage them then it's really hard to replace them. So make sure that you don't cut, slice or do anything with the cables initially. All you do is just unplug all the cables and make sure the head unit is free now, and you can remove it just like what you can see in the pictures I'm showing you right now. So these are the pictures of the head unit and the connections behind those. So these pictures describe the process which I mentioned before, removing of the side rims and disconnecting the connectors and pulling the head unit out, and respectively figuring out what cables to cut and to which the speaker wires are going to go. And this is the important part. This is the ANC, the active noise cancellation. I completely removed this unit because this is going to affect your subwoofer, producing a hissing sound which can be really annoying. The car dealers don't know about that, so they are gonna simply cut your microphone, disabling your hands-free, which is not good. So anyways, so this is the final head unit. Folks, kindly feel free to pause the video anywhere and take a screenshot or take a note of the stuff whichever I'm showing here. I would want to keep this video as short as possible. That's the reason I would not spend much time on showing you the pictures, but they will be there for a brief moment on the screen, so feel free to pause and take the data if you feel it's important. So once you have the head unit free, now here is the wiring diagram where it shows there are multiple wires here. Like when you put your car in the reverse, the camera turns on and the camera's video feed is, the stream is displayed on the IMID here. So that display connector is connected to the head unit, and the camera video input is also connected here, and your headlights, your car logs, and all of the stuff is pretty much controlled from here. So there are like multiple wires going into this, and those harnesses are categorized separately. You can find them in our Honda forums, but I'm still gonna give you the basic wiring diagram. So the most important wires which we need are the ones which are related to the audio, the car audio, right? So this car is equipped with 4 speakers, 2 in the front and 2 in the back side. So we would be interested in those 4 speakers. Each speaker usually has 2 wires, that is the positive and the negative. So we will be having in total of 8 wires which are coming out of this head unit and going respectively to each of the speaker. Like 2 of the wires are going to the front right, 2 of them are going to the front left, and 2 of them to the front back, and another 2 of them to the rear left, and 2 of them to the rear right. So there are totally 8 wires. So how do you know which 8 wires are those? So the Honda guys or any car company basically follows a coloring protocol. So for the Honda Accord, these are the colors which I found. These are some of the diagrams and tables and the wiring color charts which I found on the internet, and actually I used them for my car audio installation. These are pretty reliable, and I'm pretty sure for 2016, 2017 and even 2015 Accords, the colors should be standard. And this is the new head unit, and this is the wiring diagram for that. So before proceeding, since I didn't want to replace the head unit completely but just wanted to add a second head unit, and whenever you're buying a new head unit you have a choice. You could buy a single DIN that is this thick, or a double DIN which is this thick. So I don't have a provision for 2 DIN. I do have, but need to do a lot of chiseling work and stuff before it fits in right easily. So I thought of going with a single DIN head unit. So this is the Sony M4100 BT, MEX 4100 BT. So this sounds really good. I used to have this in my old vehicle, so this sounds really good. And first of all, when you buy this head unit, you are going to get paperwork with that, which shows all of the connections and the terminal outputs and the limitations or the impedance of the speaker which you are connecting. So every stuff is there, but still I'm going to show you. Again, in this head unit, the only wires which matter to us are the 8 speakers. So this is a 4-channel output. This head unit has 4-channel output. Each channel has 2 wires. Each channel makes 1 speaker can be connected to that channel. So technically this is 4 channels, so 2 speakers on the front and 2 on the back. So this is going to output 8 wires. So now the idea is there are 8 wires connected to the head unit, your stock head unit. Those 8 wires are going to your speakers, so you are going to cut them in middle and connect the speaker wires to your head unit. Get it? So the output which is coming from the stock head unit is going to be dangling out. You'll be taping it or insulating it in the best way possible. I'm going to show you in pictures coming soon. But the inputs which were coming, the wires coming from the speaker are going to go and connect to the head unit. So essentially it's just like this is the water tank, and people used to get water from this. So now you're going to cut the people's pipes and connect those pipes to the new tank. So whatever water people are getting should be coming from this. So ideally all the sound waves which are going will be coming from the new head unit. So this is a bit tricky. If you're going to cut the wrong wire, then you will be in trouble. So check with your manufacturer first, search through blogs, forums, which wire you are trimming or splicing or whatever you're doing. So for the Honda Accord, I showed you the colors, so I trimmed or cut straight away the 8 wires and connected those 8 to this. And how to power this aftermarket head unit, what I did was basically I have a 12-volt car charger output here. So pretty much there is nothing in here because I used this to power this. Hey, wait, you're stupid. That 180 watts is not even enough for that. Yeah, I know. So before we proceed with that, I would want to tell you that there are 3 power wires which come with your aftermarket head unit. The first one is ground, which should be connected to the body of the car anywhere or to the negative terminal of the battery. The next one is the 12 volts constant. That is, it always needs that 12 volts constant, right? That is the main power using which the head unit is going to run. Okay, and that power is also used to restore the current time, date and settings whichever you set after buying the head unit. So that power is required to keep the the volatile memory up and running. So what you want to do is there is the ground, there is a 12 volt constant. So the ground is pretty much be connected to the negative terminal of the battery or the car chassis, and the plus constant 12 volts can be connected to the battery directly. So you could just pull a wire. I'm going to show everything in detail. And the next step would be the accessory 12 volt. What this means is when an accessory 12 volt, whenever it gets 12 volts high on this wire, the head unit is going to turn on. So basically the third wire, the ACC, which is usually in yellow color, tells you that whenever I put my car keys, and let me just so basically the head unit is having power now, but that power is used only to keep the date and the settings and the time restored. But there is another wire which I told, ACC, the third wire, which turns on only when the car's ignition is on. So basically when I put the keys in and I turn this on, now I can turn the head unit on. My engine is not on, but I have connected it to respective fuse. So now we'll proceed with the installation further. I'm gonna attach some of the pictures of disassembling the head unit and adding the new head unit and the wire routing and stuff, so you could just check those out. And then we'll move to installation of the amplifier, the wiring of the amplifier, and changing your stock speakers, and then soundproofing the stuff. The first thing I would want to show you would be how to change the speakers. Now, since you have a brand new head unit and the wiring is already done, so the only thing you need to do is remove the speakers, the old ones, and put the new ones. So the first thing you need to do for that would be initially remove the plastic plates which are there inside, and you'll find a screw there. So unscrew that, and once that is done, then you are pretty much free here, and you could just insert your pry tool between the metal panel and the plastic and pull it out slowly. So the whole of this door panel is gonna pop out. Then you just lift it a bit up, and then you disconnect the wiring harness which controls the lock and unlock and the power window, so that this whole plastic panel comes off. I'm gonna attach all of the pictures for relevant to this particular process, so just check that out. These pictures describe how to do the sound deadening of the doors, removing the door panels, sealing them, and changing the speakers, and applying Dynamat, the sound deadening material which you are seeing there. So the first step would be remove the door sealants and then apply the mats in a small area and press it against, and cut your Dynamat into parts or pieces in order to be effective. Use maximum surface area and continue for all of the doors. And once you are done, take a silicone gel and then apply it across the speaker circumference so that it's airtight. And you could also apply some Dynamat onto the plastic door panel, and then make sure the wiring is completely perfect. And this is the preparation of speakers, wherein you you would want to add some sort of insulation beneath the speaker and as well as above the speaker, so that the sound stays tight and doesn't leak anywhere. So this is the final installation of the speaker on the front door, and some more pictures coming ahead just to show you how it looks like. Make sure you're screwing everything tight. You could use a double-side tape to stop the noise going out. So I guess you have enjoyed watching on how to change the speakers. I have used the Rockford Fosgate speakers, which have which are technically a three-in-one speakers. That is, they have a tweeter, a mid, and a bass. I mean, three of them all together in a single speaker instead of having a split component speakers. So the output of the head unit is around 15 or 20 watts per channel, and my speakers are rated RMS at 40 watts. I'm gonna discuss what an RMS is and a peak is soon when we'll be dealing with the subwoofer and the amplifier installation. So we are done with the speaker installation, and you also checked out how the soundproofing was done. You could buy the Dynamat on Amazon, or you could just buy anything from Walmart, whichever works. Do your research on how to do soundproofing. So you could just pretty much stick those sheets inside, and they add good weight, and you could just tell the difference right away. If you see this door is not soundproofed and this one is, so if I just knock here, this sounds in this way, and check this one, it's heavy. So this one is pretty light because that's all kind of hollow inside, but this one is really sturdy. So what this does is basically prevents all the sound coming from the speaker from escaping outside. Rather, it's going to redirect all the sound into the cabin, which is kind of really good, and you're going to notice a lot of difference. Step would be installing your monoblock amplifier for the subwoofer. I did not install a 4-channel amplifier for my speakers because the new Sony head unit is powerful enough to make the speakers go really loud, so I didn't feel the necessity or the requirement to install a new head unit. So the first thing you need, there are 3 connections for an amplifier. Again, the one is a plus 12 volts which goes to the battery, and other one is the ground. So apparently the black color terminal on the battery is the ground, and the red one is the plus 12 volt. You could also upgrade your battery if you're going for a powerful system. So as I was discussing, there are 3 connections to your amplifier: plus 12 volts, ground, and the ACC or the remote. So the purpose is again the same. The 12 volts constant is connected to the battery all times, and the ground is connected to the car's body somewhere in the back where the amplifier is there. And the remote connection is connected to one of the fuse of your cars, and that fuse must turn on only when your ignition is on. So that way, whenever you put your keys inside and turn the car on, only then the amplifier of the subwoofer and the subwoofer itself turns on or comes to active state. And same thing goes with your custom head unit. The accessory wire is connected to my 12 volt adapter, and the 12 volt adapter basically turns on whenever my ignition is on. So that is completely independent to you on how you wire that, but you need to make sure that the accessory or the remote wires are connected to a particular connection or a fuse which turn on only when the ignition is on. Else what's going to happen is, if you connect them to a constant 12 volt source, then the head unit and the subwoofer and the amplifier are going to stay on all the time. Even when your car is off and you have parked it in your garage, they are going to use energy from your battery and drain overnight, and your car will be dead by the morning you wake up. So which is not good. The ground wire for the amplifier is available on the back side, which I'll show you, but the first and the foremost thing which you would want to do is use the powered wire and the remote turn on wire, which is connected to one of the fuse here. So just follow my finger here. So this is the 15 amps, 7.5, then 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. So the fuse number 7 right here in the 2017 Honda Accord, or 2016 also, it should be the same. So the fuse number 7 is labeled as option. It is not written anywhere here, but you can see it right here on the fuse diagram. So it is written as option. So that is for adding any optional accessories like the interior lighting or any other stuff. So this is a add a fuse circuit. I'm gonna link to this product Amazon link on the description section of this video. So I use the 7.5 amperes fuse. So basically what it does is, it also connects the existing fuse as well as the remote wire which goes to amplifier. This fuse number 7 turns on when the ignition is on. So here I have my power wire. There is a grommet here inside. There are multiple ways how to get the power wire from the battery to your trunk. You could either drill a hole straight here, which I do not prefer because that can cause rust, or if you're driving through a flooded driveway or somewhere water could come in, and I do not prefer that. So there's a rubber grommet right here. So if you observe the red color wire, it's going into the rubber grommet. There are around 3 grommets there, and I connected to one of them, and the wire goes from there. All you need to do is carefully pull it from here, and I use a couple of zip ties, and it comes with an internal fuse and it connects over here. So this wire, how am I going to access this wire when I'm pushing it from the internal grommet? So you're gonna remove these plastic lugs or whatsoever and lift this stuff, and then you will be able to find. So just use a hanger or a clip to pull the wire, and then once you get hold of it, snatch it and just pull it and wire it really tight here. Make sure you use everything of good quality. Since my system is around 800 watts RMS, I'm using a 4 AWG wire. AWG is nothing but the units for the gauge thickness, or whatsoever the thickness of the wire, it determines that. So don't go below 4 AWG if your system is super powerful. What is super powerful? Anything above 500 or 600 RMS, I'm gonna suggest. RMS is nothing but, see, whenever you're buying an amplifier, they're gonna advertise as it's 1200 watts. The first question you're gonna supposed to ask is it 1200 watts peak or 1200 watts RMS? RMS is nothing but, if the manufacturer of the amplifier or the subwoofer states that, hey, this is 1200 watts peak, it means that the maximum power the subwoofer or the amplifier can handle or generate is 1200 watts, but it cannot operate or generate 1200 watts continuously. So RMS is the power which a subwoofer or amplifier can generate or handle continuously. So if somebody says that it is 600 watts RMS, then it means that it can run constantly at 600 watts. So that is how you should determine before buying something. If somebody says it's 10,000 watts peak, but the subwoofer will blow if it works constantly for more than a second and 10,000 watts, it doesn't make sense. So you need to know always what is the RMS power before buying some stuff. So my system has around 800 watts of RMS power in total. The amplifier itself is around 500 watts, so I'm using a 4 AWG wire. If you have around 1000 watts or 2000 watts RMS, then you may need to have a powerful alternator, multiple batteries, and 1 AWG wires, which are almost this thick, going all the way to your trunk. So once I have passed successfully my power wire, what I'm gonna do is this is the bad practice which I have taken here, but you guys could just see the way I have passed this wire here. So I did not take the pain. Actually, the proper way to pass this wire to the trunk all the way to the back is you remove these panels. There's a lot of space underneath these, so you push the wire from here, tuck it inside, take it through the rear door, tuck it inside, lift your seats, pass the wire from here to the trunk. Get it? So that way you can connect your amplifier. But for me that was pretty hard. This was a new car and I was a bit afraid to pull these panels out since they may break. They don't break usually, they are pretty hard. I figured out that later, sorry. So what I ended up doing is I just passed, I insulated the wires completely and I passed that underneath my front seat, and from here it goes all the way here underneath the seat, and again the same procedure, it reaches the back. Make sure all of your wiring is pretty clean and nothing is dangling here and there. So if you observe here, I have also changed my rear speakers. These are R165x3 Rockford Fosgate Prime R165x3 X3 maybe. These are rated 45 watts RMS, which is like super powerful. You can even add a 4-channel amp and they're gonna bang. And this is the material I used for soundproofing my part of my trunk. And the subwoofer which I'm using is a Rockford Fosgate P3 1200 watts peak, and the RMS is around 650 or 700 watts. And this is a ported subwoofer. What a ported subwoofer means is the subwoofer box has a vent. Whenever the subwoofer moves forward and backward, the air is gonna move forward and backward. And in my opinion, ported subwoofers are way more powerful and one can enjoy or feel the bass more. Obviously there are people who support the closed enclosures, or what do they call, yeah, the closed enclosure subs. They're more tighter in sound, but I tried both of them, trust me. Here are the different subwoofer systems which I tried in my vehicle in the first month before settling with this one. These are the pictures of the subwoofers which I tried before. The first one is closed box, and this one is also a non-ported enclosure, and then later I tried the ported enclosure in which is described in this video. Alright, so let's go and see how the amplifier is set up here. I just pulled the seats, hopefully this thing comes out. Alrighty, so and we have this seat as well. That did not come out yet. I'm gonna have to pull this. Oops, hang on, let me keep you guys here. Alrighty, so I got this thing out. So please watch carefully here. What I did was basically, so this is the main wire which has the 12 volts positive, and it goes to the 12 volt positive connector here, and in between is the REM, the remote wire. This is connected to the fuse box which I showed you with the add a fuse circuit. So, and the third wire is black in color, it's negative, it's ground. It's going all the way in to, and here you can find the metal. It is straight away bolted there. So, and the output of that, this is the R500 X1D amplifier, and the output of this is connected to the subwoofer itself. And where do I connect the inputs for these? So you have the Sony head unit there, right? It has two RCA connectors, two RCA jacks, which are female jacks. They are output, which output the subwoofer signal. So I ran two RCA jacks right from the back of the head unit all the way underneath. From there, it just came underneath from here, and boom. So these are the two wires. This is the extra wire I have, and they are connected right here. You see the two RCAs, 1 and 2. So yeah, they are connected here. So I got the input, it's amplifying, sending the output from here. Output goes to the subwoofer, and we have couple of controls here. These are very important. Never turn the gain way up. Turn your volume to full, and then slowly turn the gain up until you get to the point where you are liking the sub and you feel that it's sounding right. You can leave the phase to 0, and the frequency, this is the filter. So what are the frequencies above which you do not want the subwoofer to play? So it shows from 50 Hz to 250 Hz. I would prefer to keep it somewhere in between. And after 120 Hz, technically the bass, anything above 120 Hz is not meant to be played by the subwoofer, but it is meant to be played by the speakers or the mid speakers or the components. So I set it to mid, somewhere in between. So I think I was fine with that. And there is a punch EQ which enhances your bass. Make sure you don't turn it full or even halfway around. But I am like close to 75 or 80 degrees, not 90. So it's not even halfway, it's like 40% or 30% turned on. So that's pretty much the connections of the amplifier. And if you want to replace the rear speakers, so I'm attaching all of the pictures here on how to replace the rear speakers. On the Honda Accord, all you need to do is just push the side bolster, and you see a bolt right there. Remove that bolt. This side bolster is gonna come up, and you can just remove it all the way. And then you can remove all of these plastic pins and remove the rear plastic deck completely out. Then you'll have access to your speakers. You can update them with anyone which you want. So later you could just put this out. That's it. These images are going to describe how to install speakers on the rear. First of all, you need to remove the side bolsters, then the plastic rear deck, remove the plastic lugs, and pretty much pull everything. You can see the green color plastic lugs. Then you need to remove the C pillar and the D pillar airbags. Be pretty cautious while doing that. So this is the actual stock Honda speaker versus the Rockford Fosgate, which I am trying to upgrade. So make sure you put back everything wherever you are removing stuff from. And you could also do some sort of soundproofing on the rear metal deck which you're seeing right now. So I replaced the speakers which I had prepared. These are the new Rockford Fosgate R165 X3. So you can see the sound deadening material which has been applied onto the surface, so that helps a lot. So this is the final system. So this is a sample audio test of how my new head unit performs with 4 of the new Rockford Fosgate R165 X3 and a 600 watt Rockford Fosgate R500 X1D amplifier, which is paired to a Rockford Fosgate P3 1200 watts peak subwoofer. So I'm gonna record the audio on the phone and overlay to this video, since my GoPro is not gonna pick all of the bass which is generated. And trust me, this is super loud. I'm gonna record this at a medium volume so that the microphone picks up everything and doesn't produce a crackling sound. So just watch this one. So I'm gonna play here. I'm gonna stop the video right here and record the audio on the phone. Alrighty. So that was the sample of the sound, and I could show you some other good beats, like so this one. So the most important part is tuning of the head unit and the amplifier to match and get a perfect sound which has equal amounts of bass, mids and highs. So the first thing I told you is put your gain to low and set the volume to high. I mean, not the max, but the loud it can get without distorting itself, the speakers itself. So once you get to that point, slowly turn the gain on the amplifier and check if the bass is hitting right, whether it's overpowering or underpowering. Stop it right where it's overpowering, and then that is the max gain which you're gonna set. So after that, lower your volume and go to your sound menu. It could be different for every manufacturer, but for Sony this is pretty much the same, whether it's a single din or a 2-din head unit. So if you go into the sound settings, so I'm gonna walk you through each and every setting. The first one would be the subwoofer. So if you get into the subwoofer level, you're gonna have the subwoofer level which you can set from -10 decibels to +10 decibels. I prefer to keep it at 5 dB. How did I arrive at that number? It is just based on testing. You need to sit in your car, spend some time, play some good tracks, whichever you love, or you could just download a sample test track from YouTube, or play a 54 Hz sine wave or a 32 Hz sine wave or a sine sweep, and wherever you feel that the bass is really good or the bass is really good, so you could just set the decibels there. And the next one would be the subwoofer phase. You could leave this to normal, and if you remember in the previous clip or just moments before in this video, I showed you the amplifier, the R500X1D, which had a phase switch on that, which can shift from 0 to 180 degrees. Basically what happens when you change the phase or reverse the phase is, if a sine wave is coming like this, it's going to be inverted. So if the sub is supposed to move forward and backward for a music beat or a rhythm, it's going to move backward and forward. Technically you can notice a bit of sound difference, but that is not encouraged, and the phase is only used when you have two subwoofers, when one is facing up and one is facing down. That there is a technical term for that, and you reverse the phase in order to match the motion of both of the subwoofers. So that's kind of irrelevant in our setup, so you could read more about that on the internet. So we are not going to change anything with the phase. So the next step would be the subwoofer position. I would prefer to set it to normal, and the low pass frequency I set it to 120 Hertz, and then the high pass I set to 120 Hertz. That is, my speakers are not gonna play anything below 120 Hertz. So the next thing is the mega bus is on, and then this is the most important stuff. So I set the 32 Hertz of frequencies to play at 5 decibels, means I want them louder, the 63 to be at 4, and the 125 to be 2, and the 250 at 4, and the 500 at 4, 1K at 2. These are all the mid human voices, so I don't want them to be too loud. So I'm just walking through the settings. I hope you're concentrating here. And these are the hi-hats, the tweeters and stuff, so that's at 2 Hertz. So I set them in that way. I'm gonna show you an image displaying all of the values correctly. So that's pretty much about tuning your head unit and your amplifier and the subwoofer. So I'm gonna talk a bit about the impedance of the subwoofer. So now we are gonna see a video of the subwoofer in action. That's really powerful. I understand that this video was not having all the details, but it's super hard, trust me, to put everything into one video. It's gonna be an hour long. So with the time and resources I had, I tried to put all of the information into this video. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. I'm gonna make a second version of this video covering all of the electrical details, like what exact wires have I used, or hey, this is my car and these are the wires I'm seeing it, so what do you suggest? So you could just email me or just put your question in the comments. I'm gonna answer. And talking about the impedance, there are a ton of videos which explain about the impedance. And let's say, hey, if I have a 500 RMS amplifier and I have two 250 RMS subwoofers, how do I connect them? So how do I wire them in parallel or series, or how should I make the resistance or the impedance to match of the subwoofer with that of the amplifier? So there are a ton of wiring diagrams. I'm gonna include everything in this video. I'm gonna add at least 8 or 10 pictures after this conversation which show you different types of configurations in which you can connect multiple subwoofers. Let's say one amplifier, 2 subwoofers, 2 4-ohm subwoofers, and the amplifier supports 8 ohms or it's stable at 2 ohms, whatever stuff. So let me know how you felt about this video. If you like this, just give a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, do mention in the comment section or email me. I'm gonna get back to you pretty soon. Thanks for watching, guys.